Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to see all of you here together in person, those of you who are here remotely. My name is Shireen Pavri, and I am the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Educator and Leadership Programs at the California State University Chancellor's Office. All right. And I bring warm welcome and greetings to all of you for today's summit. The Chancellor's Office is indeed extremely proud to partner closely with the CSU Center to close the opportunity gap in creating a more equitable future for California's young people and in eliminating opportunity gaps for our learners across the state. The CSU Center to Close the Opportunity Gap was founded 2 years ago under the vision of Assemblymember Patrick O'Donnell. And it really started with 3 very bold goals. 1, to strengthen professional preparation of educators. 2, to conduct original research in K-12 schools that impacts the opportunities and achievement of K-12 students. And 3, to develop and disseminate tools and resources to implement these practices across K-12 schools and educator preparation programs. So our CCOG, the Center to Close the Opportunity Gap, called CCOG, are teams at Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Fullerton, San Jose State, and San Diego State have been hard at work to address the chronic equity gaps that have persisted for so long in our schools, and the more acute gaps that have resulted as a result of this pandemic. They work through original research in the schools, an online clearinghouse of best practices, hosting conferences, webinars, professional development events, and of course, the 2nd annual CCOG Summit. My thanks to our center faculty, our co-director, Dr. Kara Richards-Tutor, who's in the back there. Our outgoing, yes, please, give her a big hand. Our outgoing co-director, Dr. Corrine Martinez. Our incoming co-director, Dr. Caroline Lopez-Perry. Today's summit lead and organizer, Dr. Nat Hansuvada, and her team, who's been busy preparing for today's summit, and our incredible faculty teams from Cal State Long Beach, Cal State Fullerton, San Diego State, and San Jose State, who have done incredibly rich and deep work in this area. So folks, today we are at an important crossroads in education. We have an opportunity to intentionally ensure access to teaching and learning for all of our students, to create safe and brave spaces that allow students to share their voice, for us to meet learners where they are, to invite families and communities into our schools and our educational institutions, and to focus on equity and cultural responsiveness in our curriculum, our pedagogies, and our assessment. It is my hope that each of you today leaves the summit with new insights, new strategies and approaches, and new energy to create transformative change. Thank you. And now it brings me great pleasure to introduce the Interim Dean of the College of Education here at Cal State Long Beach, Dr. Ana Ortiz. Ana.
Good morning, everyone. So I am really excited to welcome you all to the beach. It is great to see live people smiling out here and enjoying each other's company. And I know there will be more of that as we progress through the morning. One of my pleasures as the interim dean is to learn about all the great teacher preparation programs that we have in the college. I come out of higher ed, so every event like this is a learning opportunity for me, and I'm hoping that it is a learning opportunity for you as well. So I also want to welcome the people who are joining virtually. I don't know why I looked at the screen when I said that. I suppose all their faces are in there. But I want to give a special welcome and thank you to Dr. Shireen Pavri for her welcoming remarks and reminding us why the Center to Close the Opportunity Gaps was created and how it was created and what its intent is. And I also want to thank Dr. Fred Uwe, who is the Director of Teacher Preparation at the Chancellor's Office. I don't know where he went. Oh, there he is. He's way back there. So I want to thank him for being here. I also want to recognize that we have California Teacher of the Year here with us. She's going to talk with us later, Sovey Long-Latteri, who not only is Teacher of the Year, which is honor enough, but also a CSULB alumna. So, so go Beach, you always have to say go Beach up here at the podium. But we're excited to have you with us. We have a great program from all of you. We'll hear later today from the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond. And then we have local teachers doing TED Talks for us and several breakout sessions that'll be offered by leaders throughout not just the basin, but beyond the basin here in Los Angeles County. I want to thank our advisory board and our partner campuses, Fullerton, San Diego State, and San Jose State. Do we have folks from any of those campuses here in the live crowd today? All right. Thank you for being here, for making the trek on the freeways to get here. And then I want to thank our partner districts, especially Long Beach and Los Angeles, who we work closely with in the center. And again, I want to also offer my thanks and recognize the work of Patrick O'Donnell, our assembly member, who kind of funded and kind of dreamed of this project that we are getting to put into fruition today. My last thank you goes to all the student volunteers who are here. If you raise your hands, I know you're probably all sitting in the back and you're shy and you don't want to raise your hands, but we couldn't have put this together without you, nor the great staff in the College of Ed, especially when you put on I'm trying to think of the name, a high flex event where we have people in person and virtually. That is a challenge for everyone from facilities, but also to the fiscal office who has to manage the contract to get this here. So I want to recognize those folks, as well as our leaders, as Shireen also mentioned, Kara Richards Tudor and Caroline Lopez Perry. And this is Nat's baby, Nat Hatsuvada's baby, and she's been working hard on this for many months. I've only been in the position about 6 weeks, and I know she's been updating me every week for 6 weeks on this. And so a big thank you to you as well for all the work that you put in the summit, and I know that everyone here joins me in that appreciation. And given that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hatsuvada.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here in person and virtually. I keep my promises, so I am giving a special shout out to LAUSD, who we brought our hype people with us, and they did want me to mention that they came on time, they came collectively, they brought their district spirit, and we love that about teachers. We love that about all of you. And I also just want to say a special thank you, because I know for many of you, this is your last Friday of summer break. And some of you have left loved ones, sick children, a growing to-do list at home waiting for you after the summit. So I appreciate whoever, whatever brought you here today. We just really want to appreciate and honor your time. Well, I'm so excited to introduce and talk about our Ed Talks this morning. So Ed Talks are really unique and special to the summit. They are a great opportunity to hear directly from exceptional and fellow K-12 teachers about what's working in their classrooms, the challenges they have experienced, especially during the pandemic, and the innovative ways they are helping our students learn, feel cared for, safe, protected, and feel a sense of belonging. These stories offer valuable insights for our own work and inspiration, and start a dialogue that will hopefully continue later today and throughout the year. So with that in mind, I'm honored to introduce our first Ed Talk speaker, Sovey Long-Latteri. This is a little bit about Sovey. From the killing fields to the classroom, Sovey is a first-generation Cambodian American whose family escaped genocide in pursuit of a better life. Since completing her education specialist credentials in mild moderate and moderate severe disabilities at Cal State Long Beach, Sovey Long-Latteri has taught special education for over 14 years in Los Angeles and Orange counties. She currently teaches adult transition program at La Sierra High School of Fullerton Joint Union High School District. And as you know, she's been named 2022 California Teacher of the Year. That's amazing. Yes, we're so proud of her. Sovey currently resides in Orange County with her husband, Jimmy, and 3-year-old daughter, Olivia. So please help me give her the warmest welcome. Congratulations, Sovey. We're so grateful you're here.
Good morning, everybody. Wow. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted them to feel included as well. So I can't beat that introduction. I think you know more about me than most people do right now. A little about me. Like I mentioned, I teach, like it was mentioned, my name is Sovey Long-Latteri. Keith is here to save my life. That's what I sound like. Oh my goodness. I teach adult transition for the most severe population within my district in Fullerton Joint Union High School District. This is one of the first times that a severe special ed teacher has been recognized at the state level for what we do. I am very proud of being recognized as California Teacher of the Year, but I'm more proud of sharing the podium with severe special ed, an overlooked and underrepresented population within our schools. So I teach students with the most severe population. And I remember one of the first things a new superintendent said to me when he came to visit my classroom was, "Why aren't these students in the county program?" And it made me sad because he doesn't know. I felt sorry for him. He did not know what our students were capable of. And that is why I stand in front of everybody as California Teacher of the Year to show everybody what our students can do. I am an alumni of Cal State Long Beach College of Education. I've been married for 8 years. That's an achievement within itself. It's a lot of work. You notice he's not here today because he's with our 3-year-old who broke her leg 2 days ago. So I'm a little distracted, but a little excited because she's getting really good care with her dad right now. And oh, she's there behind my picture, but she looks just like me. So And she is one of the reasons why I cemented my thought and my dreams of the kind of world I wanted her to grow up in. I wanted her to grow up in a kind and inclusive, compassionate world that values people and views differences as a strength. That is why I'm here today. I was invited here today to give an ed talk, but since I'm reading it, we'll call it an ed read as well. Don't judge me. I was honored, excited. It's pretty cool, right? But why me? I'm not anybody special. As a matter of fact, just 15 years or so ago, I was walking these same grounds as a student, asking the exact same question, why me? But I realized, just like education, I have come full circle. I've been asked to give an ed talk to inspire others, as many on this very campus have inspired me. So I must be pretty special. In October 2021, after a grueling and challenging vetting process of nominations, essays, observations, video submissions, myself and 4 other teachers were announced 2022 California Teacher of the Year. I want to introduce to you some of the incredible teachers. Nichi Avina. She teaches for Riverside County. She's trauma informed. She teaches middle school and teaches children sustainable ways to live their lives. She's trauma informed because she's gone through some traumatic things. She helps students overcome their traumas and continue to learn. She is a wonderful person and an amazing teacher. This is Alondra Diaz. She teaches in Orange County. She teaches the dual immersion program. She overcame homelessness and single motherhood to teach her students that there is no obstacle that is too big to overcome. She is a testament to everything that you can do if you put your mind to it. Tiffany Jokers is the only female engineering teacher in San Diego County. She teaches science, mathematics as well, and technology, and she's working to restructure the mathematics requirements in education for students so all students can achieve without worrying about math, because we all know somebody that's not a math person. I'm one of them. This is Virginia Vasquez from LAUSD. That's right. Virginia Vasquez is a first-generation Mexican-American who took the bus 2 hours a day to go to school so that she can continue to pave the road for children. And she wanted to pay it forward to the future. She now teaches AP English. That's right. And there's me. Do I look familiar? That's what I look like without sunglasses, guys, when I'm too cool for school. I'm a special education teacher, as I described, and most of the students that are most severe disabilities within our district. We have been identified as some of the best teachers in the state. That sounds great and all, but me? I am included in the ranks of incredible teachers that are doing their part to change the outlook in the world, one student at a time. How exciting, right? Is it though? Even though these California teachers are inspirational and have accomplished so much, none of us felt we deserved to be in these spaces. We suffered from imposter syndrome. We're afraid that our titles would be taken from us any minute when they realize that they chose wrong. We are surrounded by great teachers every day. So why are we here and not them? Slowly, we learned to accept that we are being recognized for what we do for our students and school, and that was something to be proud of. Not only did we have the right to be in these spaces, but these spaces were built for us, so we can go forward to build these spaces for our students. And here we are. Whoa, super close to the mic. And here we are as California Teachers of the Year being honored amongst great teachers. This is a picture of us in Sacramento with all of the succeeding California Teachers of the Year. And I spoke to almost all of them, which we all agreed. We didn't feel like we were special and didn't understand why we were there until we realized what we do is special. So the name of my Ed Talk is, I'm giving you permission to feel special. Thank you. Thank you. As educators, we attend training and conferences to learn about social emotional learning, help raise awareness about mental illnesses. We work to implement growth mindsets. We teach mindfulness strategies, build safe spaces, value students' times and emotions. We teach sympathy through empathy because we care and often forget to care about ourselves. Sometimes we forget to feel. In May 2022, I attended an award ceremony in Sacramento to accept my award, and I gave a speech. I'd like to share that speech with you today. Hopes and dreams. We all have them, but not all of them are realized. Sometimes circumstances get in the way. Illnesses, sick kids with broken legs, obligations, lack of resources, bad timing, or sometimes simply life gets in the way. My parents came to this country along with hundreds and thousands of Cambodians to seek refuge from a war-torn country. Impoverished, traumatized, uncertain, and grieving, they arrived at the shores of America with hopes and dreams. In pursuit of a chance to make choices for themselves and for their family, and for our future. While my parents worked to navigate a new life in a new country, we children work to navigate school life and new expectations, like learning a new language, navigating foreign school system, and acquiring materials for success when we barely had the clothes to cover our backs. All while mourning the loss that didn't make it and harboring guilt for making it. Humbled by the sacrifices made for us to get here, we carried their memories in our heart as we pushed forward and dared to dream. I was drawn to serve because of these experiences. I became a special education teacher because I was part of a vulnerable group that was at a disadvantage, overlooked, underserved, and sometimes misunderstood. I chose to teach students with severe disabilities because I wanted to show them that, hey, they had choices too, and to validate their dreams and hopes, like my parents and good teachers did for me. I'm humbled by this opportunity to pay it forward. Good teachers saw beyond my circumstances, beyond the hand I was dealt, and gave me hope to change my narrative. Because of this, I stand in front of you today as California Teacher of the Year. Thank you. Let me ask you a question. Do you know somebody with special needs? Someone that may need extra support or is dependent on others to help meet their daily needs? Perhaps they require specialized care, a little extra love and attention. They may be a little different. Maybe they stand out. Maybe they fade in the background. I think I just described myself. Well, I do. I know many individuals with differing needs and abilities. My paraeducators and I have the distinct honor of teaching these students every day. I am often asked, some of you may have been asked the same question, what do you teach your students? The answer is, and always should be, everything. My job as a special education teacher is to give students and their families tools to make choices that will enhance their quality of life, to give a voice to students that may be nonverbal. People often share with me they didn't know programs like mine existed. I don't fault them. They didn't know not because they didn't want to know. They didn't know there was anything to know. But we have the power to change that. Let's open our eyes to see overlooked programs. Let's open our hearts to shine a spotlight on special education and other underserved populations. Let us come together as a community and mindfully choose love and kindness over differences. It is our turn to be the needle and yarn that weaves students into the fabric of their communities. To not just shed light, but to spotlight overlooked populations and their teachers. Also to generate excitement and interest in this field, because I truly believe that in order for us to get good California teachers into our schools, there needs to be good teachers already in our California schools. My name is Sovey Long, daughter of Sichan Long and Ponsok, who made the choice to come here 42 years ago in pursuit of their hopes and dreams. They are watching us from heaven today. I represent the unheard, underrepresented. I represent special education, California teachers, students, hopes, and dreams. I represent all of you. Thank you. I didn't share this speech so a large group of adults can watch me cry in public. I shared because I wanted us to take a minute to feel something. We have become so systematic and desensitized from preparing for the known and the unknown, jumping through hoops, reimagining and restructuring hoops, then having meetings and exchanging emails about those hoops, that we forget to feel. To feel the feelings that drive our intentions in education and in life. To feel grateful to be among such great people. To feel excited, humbled, and invigorated. And to give permissions to ourselves to feel tired. It's okay. To feel beaten down. And to feel overwhelmed. So we can learn when we need to take a break and to pick ourselves back up and accept help, to feel the need to uplift others and allow others to do the same for us. As educators, we have a really hard time asking for help or accepting help, but it's okay. I want us to get back to feeling good about teaching and what we do for our students and their futures. I want us to feel special for being who we are and for the path that we have chosen. I chose to be a special education teacher because I wanted to help others feel special and give them permission to be happy about it. When we understand our feelings and let them lead our journey, we begin to understand and embrace others and their journeys. Recall my California Teacher of the Year cohort where we all felt like the carpet was going to be ripped from underneath us. Why is it so hard for educators to give themselves permission to feel special and accept applause and recognition? Because we did not choose this field to talk about ourselves. I didn't. I just learned this after I became Teacher of the Year. Because we did not choose this field to talk about ourselves. We also didn't do it for the money or the fame. It just came. Just kidding. To be renowned or to feel special, we chose it to help others learn and grow, to love themselves and others, to develop a passion for learning and exploring, and to be critical thinkers and to go forth and make a difference. But then again, think about it. That is pretty special of us, isn't it? In closing, educators and friends, I see you, I hear you, and I give you permission to feel special. Thank you.
Thank you, Sovey. I really felt that. Thank you for bringing your honesty, your vulnerability, and the way you empower your students and inspire all of us. Thank you for honoring your parents who are not with us, as well as your Cambodian heritage. That is so special. And thank you for just sharing who you are, because we teach who we are. And so I am so grateful for your presence. I know there's so much on your mind. When I received these texts that were blowing up about her daughter and breaking her leg, and she sent me pictures of her daughter whose cast was up to her thigh in purple with all these hearts around it. And so my heart goes out to you as a mom of two girls. I get it. We're pulled in so many directions because we have so many identities and wear multiple hats. But I want you to hold on to that as we think about and we welcome and transition our next EdTalk speaker, and that's Jose Rivas. And I'm grateful for him for his presence today too. He did me a big favor. He was one of our first EdTalk speakers for Better Together California Teacher Summit. So I want to share a few words about him. Jose Rivas teaches digital art, AP Physics, and engineering to grades 10 through 12 at Lenox Mathematics, Science, and Technology Academy in Lenox, California. Throughout his career in education, Jose is focused on creating transformative and accessible educational environments for students, and he is an active mentor through several organizations supporting and guiding new teachers. He has many accolades, so I don't know why he didn't pass it on to me in this bio. It's very extensive. He's very modest. So this is just a couple, but Jose Rivas is a former policy fellow for Teach Plus and is an emergent bilingual change agent. He received the Presidential Award for Excellence in Science Teaching in 2017, and many, many more. But please help me welcome Jose Rivas. Thank you so much for being here today with us. Also later, I think I'll raffle off some sunblock because I feel it, especially here on the right. So thank you for hanging. You can use your agendas as also some shade.
Good morning, everybody. I wrote my speech also, so just so you know. Let me set up here really quick. All right. Oh, there it goes. It's like, where'd the slides go? All right. So good morning, everybody. My name is Jose Rivas, and I've been teaching for 20 years and science and engineering, and this past year, art. And today I want to talk to you guys about my journey, the last 2 years, and talk about the steps I took to create renewal and transformation, and hopefully to inspire you. So let's go back in time a couple of years. So the best of the best, right? 2 years ago, around March 11th, 2020, we were launched out of our classrooms into the unknown world of distance learning. We barely had time to catch our breath, right? We scrambled, learned how to navigate new software, Zoom especially, learn new strategies, and as best we could, we created community across Wi-Fi signals. And this is the world we entered. ¿Tienes el volumen puesto, John?
Y estos son algunos de los retos desde que comenzaron las clases por internet el lunes debido a la pandemia del coronavirus. El maestro Rivas enseña desde su casa o desde su salón.
El mismo horario que tenemos cada día. Pongo los estudiantes en el computer y cada hora doy la clase.
Del otro lado de la computadora, John Gómez nos habla de su propia disciplina.
No uso mi teléfono, lo pongo afuera y se...
So yeah, I'm sure you guys remember that. We took it day by day, hoping that the pandemic would not last long and we would be able to return to our classrooms. So as teachers, we did everything possible to engage our students, build community, and make sure they were receiving the best possible education. We even stepped out of our comfort zones to motivate our students. So here's a little motivational video I made for my AP class. My daughter jumping in the background. They usually like coming out on my videos for my students. So we had high hopes, right? We stepped up to the challenge. So for 1.5 years, we Zoomed. Some students turned on their cameras, you can see here. Some had cameras off, but we tried to determine if they were still there. Jason, are you still there? Can you hear me? What's going on? And our students never logged on because of Wi-Fi issues, access to Wi-Fi, or just family problems due to the pandemic. In many conversations I would have with students and parents during the Zoom times, everyone was feeling anxiety, loss, and damage. We felt it ourselves. My students would ask me every day, Mr. Rivas, when is this going to end? My thoughts were always on how much loss my students were going through and what the long-term effect of all this was going to be. As educators, we did our best to keep it positive and support our students even when we were not 100%.
A teacher was seen practicing a smile and putting on a happy face before going into the classroom. That is the end of this video. Hopefully I made your day just a little better, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Later.
And sometimes I did that before Zooms. I was like, okay, it's a lot of stuff going on, but you know what? We got to put our best foot forward and do the best we can. So we took heart, and this is one of the drawings. This is one of the drawings one of my art students, Deborah Friday, created. El Corazón. So her theme was love conquers all. And I took heart in the fact that the pandemic put front and center many things that needed to be addressed in education, like access to technology, access to food, access to resources, and SEL, to name a few. Education was going to change for the better. So finally, we returned to the classroom. As you can see right here, here's an image of my engineering class. They were super excited. Everyone was overjoyed, excited. Students were eager to learn and ready to work. Well, almost. The reality was much different. As one of my art students, Emily Sines, depicts here in her work called Balance, there was a lot to unpack from the year in distance learning and from the trauma that occurred in our lives and in our students. When we returned to the classroom, things were not okay. I remember the first day back, one of my students came up to me and said she was freaking out. There were too many people around. She was going to throw up, needed time outside to catch her breath. As an educator for 20 years, one of my focuses is to build relationships with students and parents. This year back, I knew I was going to have to do more for the health and well-being of my students and for myself. So what are ways we can create renewal and transformation within ourselves, our students, and in our educational ecosystems? We are all overworked and underappreciated. But today I want to challenge you. As another of my art students, Jonathan Diaz, animated here, we need to forge a new approach and mindset to establish what we want for ourselves, our students, parents, administrators, policy, and create renewal and transformation. As educators, how can we accomplish this? For myself, these past 2 years, I focused on these 3 C's: capacity, confidence, and champions. And I'm going to share a bit of what I did to hopefully inspire you to apply these 3 C's. Right at the start of the pandemic, we greatly shifted our approach to instruction and how we support students. We looked at grading policies. We found creative approaches to engage students and families. However, when we returned, many of us went back into our silos, reverted to a pre-pandemic mindset. For me, the capacity to grow depends on building relationships. There were significant gaps that developed during distance learning in our students and also in our teachers, especially in our early career teachers whose first experience teaching was distance learning. For me, I put my students' needs first before curriculum and grades. And once I had established that community, then authentic and engaged learning began. For my colleagues, I developed a distributive learning leadership model by implementing a STEM reading and literacy initiative at my school so that we could develop authentic student-centered lessons and support each other in our growth as educators. During distance learning, teachers were heroes. When we got back after a year, teachers became villains in many places. We lost our confidence in what we love to do out of fear. We returned to the pre-pandemic status quo. When I returned to the classroom, I knew I could not go back to how things were. And it was imperative that I voice what I know works in the classroom and defend those practices that instill a love for learning in my students. And just as important, for my colleagues in my school and teachers across the state, I wanted to help them build their confidence. So here's a short clip of my classroom from a piece by the LA Times and Intuit for the 100 Champions Teacher Award. To give you an idea of my teaching philosophy.
I want to make sure that people know that our students are brilliant, they're capable, and they have things to contribute to society.
Now we're going to do an equation puzzle, okay? And you guys are going to do this individually first.
You know, my class is very atypical where I spend a lot of my time talking to students. They have work, they have assignments, but it's a very open environment where they work on the assignments and then I have conversations. And that relationship building with students, that's my goal every day.
Here we go. Okay, arms out, arms in. You see the difference? Yes. So mass distribution is very important. Hopefully I can stand up after this.
The pandemic taught us that now is not the time to place band-aids on educational systems that are not working. We must be willing to face these issues with urgency, and we need to be brave enough to initiate and work on the change we want. For myself, I engage in several initiatives and opportunities at the local, state, and national level because I wanted to give voice to my concerns and I wanted to contribute to make positive and impactful changes in education. And here are some pics of different opportunities that I was involved in. I was on the teacher panel for EdSource, sharing my concerns with the EdSource website. I was a Teach Plus fellow, and through the Teach Plus fellowship, I learned skills in teacher leadership. I wrote an op-ed piece through Teach Plus. I wrote a policy memo on the importance of reading and literacy instruction across all content areas and grade levels. I was an emergent bilingual change agent, still am, introducing reading and literacy initiatives to promote access to science and engineering for our EL learners. And also I was on Science Friday, which comes out on Fridays. It's a science program that talks about science news. And I was on the radio station several times talking about my concerns for education in general and science education specifically. and I created several activities and initiatives for Science Friday. So for all my colleagues here, this is my call to action for you. Don't go back to the status quo. Challenge yourselves to create more inclusive, equitable, and engaging classroom environments. You are not alone. Work with your colleagues. And if you can't in your school, make connections and join initiatives outside of your school, like Teach Plus, and bring that back to your schools and districts, and then make the changes. Finally, don't be afraid to engage in creating change within your school, your district, or across the country. Your voice is important. For my administrators and districts across California, as teachers, we understand that you are under tremendous pressure. Sometimes we forget we are all on the same team. It is imperative that you bring in the voice of teachers and engage in their concerns before you implement solutions that will affect everyone. Invest in teacher leaders, invest in teacher leadership programs, and in more distributive models of leadership to bring the voice of teachers to the table. And finally, we need you to back us up. Teachers need champions also. Thank you.
That was incredible. I am truly inspired as a mom of school-age children, as a wife to a high school math teacher. That resignation and that feeling of anxiety and loss is so real, especially as we enter another uncertain academic year. But seeing how Jose shows us how he brings joy and curiosity, compassion, challenging curriculum and instruction to the classroom gives me so much hope and inspiration for the start of this new year. So thank you, Jose. You are an amazing educator. I'm so grateful you're here with us.
Hello, everybody. Hello. We're gonna wait for a few more folks to bring it on in from lunch. But hasn't this been an awesome day? It's an awesome day. Yes. And the weather is cooperating now. We don't have the sun beating on us so hard. Oh, yeah. I just am so grateful for our EdTalk speakers and for our breakout session facilitators. They did an amazing job today. And for all of you for enriching those discussions as you participated. So thank you all so much. I have the privilege of introducing our keynote speaker, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond. Tony Thurmond, yeah, woo! Tony Thurmond is responsible for the largest public school system in the nation, with more than 6.3 million students and over 10,000 schools. Since taking office, State Superintendent Thurmond has made improving equity, access, and opportunity for California's public school students his top priority. And we need to thank him for that and for aligning his work with the priorities that are so needed. He has created initiatives that are focused on closing the achievement gap for our state's most vulnerable students and is dedicated to supporting educators in delivering an equitable education to all students. During his 4-year tenure in the Assembly, Tony Thurmond authored legislation that successfully expanded the free lunch program, bilingual education, and the Chafee Grant College Scholarship Program for foster youth. Additionally, his legislation guaranteed preferential voting rights for student school board members, improved access to families for early education and childcare and shifted millions of dollars directly from prisons to our schools. Yes. State Superintendent Thurmond is a social worker, educator, advocate, and public school parent who continues to work tirelessly on behalf of all students to ensure they reach their full academic potential. Welcome, State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Colleen, for the introduction. I wish I could be with you in person, but I'm just so grateful to all of you who have gathered to take up this most important conversation, the work that we do to close the achievement gap, to close the opportunity gap. I want to thank the CSU Center on closing the achievement gap. I also want to thank one of our great teachers of the year, Sovey Long-Latteri, for being a part of today's program and for your invitation. Thank you, Dr. Richards Tutor, for the invitation today. And thank you for all of you being such great educators and doing what you do and making time here in your summer to continue the conversation about what do we do to close the opportunity gap. I can't think of any more important work that we can do than ensure that every single student gets a chance at a first-rate education and a chance to live a first-rate life. People are going to tell you that we can't close the opportunity gap because it's been decades of trying, but we can send people to the moon, we can create self-driving cars. I know that this is something that we can and that we must do. If nothing else, I take the example of my own experience as a student who grew up in our schools, who was on the free lunch program, who required all kinds of assistance to overcome humble beginnings. As a 6-year-old, I lost my only parent to cancer. I never knew my dad, who was a soldier who I met on the internet right before my 40th birthday. In my family, we struggled. As a matter of fact, I was raised by a cousin who I never met until I showed up on her doorstep at the age of 6. And she took us in, and though she did not have a formal education, she ensured that I would get the best public education that I could and the opportunity to go to college and become a social worker and serve others, and along the way work in our schools, providing school-based mental health, providing supports to students in our after-school programs, providing life skills, teaching civics, even teaching civics to young adults who are incarcerated in juvenile camps. It's hard for me to even put those words together. We should never allow our students to have to take a diploma in a juvenile camp or in a juvenile facility. But until we do, let us continue to commit to work together to close the opportunity gap once and for all. We have the resources, we have the means to address poverty, to address systemic racism, to address challenges that we experience at every turn that we know if we shoulder together, we can close the opportunity gap. And right now, in spite of the challenges that we've all experienced coming out of the pandemic, California has more resources than ever before to help us close the gap. We have, believe it or not, we will be implementing universal preschool for every 4-year-old in our state. And for kids who are hungry kids like I was, we can provide now universal meals for every single student, regardless of their financial background. Many of you know that last fall, I declared an initiative to ensure that our children learn to read by 3rd grade. Many of you know about the million-word gap. And we know that when children are exposed to books and reading at an early age, and they learn to read by 3rd grade, they're more likely to graduate. They're less likely to drop out of school and end up in the criminal justice system. And so we must move forward on this initiative with urgency. And we have some resources to do this as well. My team and I, we've worked with the governor and the legislature to secure $250 million to have literacy coaches and specialists who work at high need schools. Another some $13, $14, $15 million for professional development around teaching literacy, how to have high programs of rigor to support students at all levels. We're concerned about biliteracy. Many of you know I sponsored legislation to help our students get into dual language immersion programs. We have a few $100 million to expand our dual immersion programs in this state. because we care about literacy and biliteracy and supporting students from all backgrounds. I know that part of today is a conversation about how students heal and recover. And this year, I sponsored legislation with Senator McGuire that would help us recruit 10,000 mental health counselors to support students who've been through trauma and depression. And I'm proud to tell you that we have now secured the money to provide $20,000 scholarships and grants to anyone who wants to become a counselor, to anyone who wants to become a teacher. We have residency programs to support teachers and professional development. We put out $350 million to attract new teachers to the field, to diversify our workforce, because we know that when students have the chance to learn from a great educator, they do well. And when they have a chance to learn from an educator of color or someone who looks like them, they also do well, they do even better, and that it helps to decrease the outcome, the critical challenges that we experience for those students of color and low-income students who are affected by the opportunity gap. And so we have the resources to make this happen. This is the moment. And while the pandemic is probably the toughest moment that most of us will ever experience, this can be done. And as if the pandemic wasn't enough, that we've experienced the pandemic of racism, the killing of George Floyd, the spike in hate against Asian American and Pacific Islanders, seeing acts of anti-Semitism and hate and violence in our schools. We know that we need to do what we often call at the Department of Education, use education to end hate. So our kids don't get co-opted into hate groups, but that they see that education can be a game changer, the great equalizer for you, regardless of your circumstances. My goal is for us to work together to help our children heal from the difficulties of the pandemic, to provide learning recovery. We're providing schools with billions of dollars to support expanded learning time, to help support what happens in the classroom. We have billions to support professional development for our educators, to offset the challenges that our kids who are coming from communities impacted by poverty and racism are dealing with. We will be providing ethnic studies as a graduation requirement for our students, so our students can learn about the contributions of African Americans, of Latinos, of Native Americans and Asian American and Pacific Islanders. Students of color do better when we have ethnic studies. All students from all backgrounds do better when we have ethnic studies. And though there's a pushback all across the country telling people not to talk about race, we know that we must talk about race and address institutional racism. So I'm proud of the work that we're doing right now with many of you to lead anti-bias education all across our state. And we've secured another round of millions of dollars to support more anti-bias education all across the state. We're working to provide support to our LGBTQ+ students to make sure that they get support and to avoid bullying of our students, because we know that when LGBTQ+ students get this support, they perform better in school, there's better academic achievement, and we must push back on those who would threaten our LGBTQ+ students. And so we put all these resources together. That tells me that in spite of how difficult it has been for decades to close the achievement gap, that we can, and that now is the moment. This is the inflection point, and you are at the center of it. And so I look forward to what's come out of today's conversations in the work group and the small group work that you all have done. And I'm hopeful that we can work together on a statewide strategy to help us close the opportunity gap. I can't see you on screen, but I hope that you will raise your right hand and pledge with me that together we can work on a strategy to take the best research, the best professional development, and the best practices that are proven to work to help all of our students have a great experience, and that we together can close the opportunity gap. I'm deputizing you as part of our team. We're working together on behalf of California's kids, and I look forward to the great work that we will do together. Thank you for allowing me to provide you a greeting, and continue to enjoy the rest of the conversation. And I look forward to the work that we'll do together. Take care, be safe and well.
Thank you so much, Superintendent Thurmond. We really appreciate your time today. We know how busy you are, and we just thank you so much for inspiring us and for asking us to be your partners in this work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much to all of you for today, for being here with us, and for just inspiring us, each other, and me in this work that we are doing. We hope that you'll keep in touch with the CCOG through our website, through our social media. Everyone who attended today will now be part of our listserv, so you'll get all our updates on webinars and the work we're doing. And I just want to give another shout out to LAUSD and Long Beach Unified for their partnerships in this work in making the closing of the opportunity gap happen. So thank you all so much. I wish you an awesome school year. And make sure you're taking care of yourselves as well through this time. And we hope to see you all very soon. And next time for the Educator Summit, bring all your friends, okay? Next year's summit, 2023, okay? All right, we'll see you all. Be well.